Would the foreperson please rise? Mr. Foreperson, it's the court's understanding that the jury has reached a verdict in this matter.
That's correct.
As to charge ID 193-794-7C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of second-degree assault, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
As to charge ID 202-7112C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of second-degree murder, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
And as to charge ID 202-7113C, charging the defendant with the crime of falsifying physical evidence, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
And on charge ID 202-7114C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of abuse of corpse, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson.
That's correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
And on charge ID 202-7115C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of tampering with witnesses and informants, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson.
That's correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your service. You've performed an important civic duty, and that is as to the alternates as well as all the deliberating jurors. What we're going to do now is I'm going to send you back into the deliberation room. The alternates are going to be able to go back now with you. You can discuss the case with each other, so it's an opportunity for you to do that. I'm going to take a few minutes with the lawyers here, and then I will come in to discuss a couple of other matters with you further, and then you'll be released from your service. All right? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. All rise for the jurors, please.
All right, there you go. Guilty on all counts. Adam Montgomery not there to witness it, but Crystal Sorey was there, Harmony's mother. Packed courtroom. You see Matt Johnson's there. This is the way the system works, and boy, it did work. And Julie, we were talking. Both sets of attorneys were fantastic in this case. The prosecution. Their closing was just off the charts, how impactful it was, but also the defense. I mean, the defense was given a very difficult set of cards, and
their job is what hangs
you may
everything in the balance. Let's listen to the judge.
Counsel, we just need to schedule sentencing. I don't know how much time the parties feel that they need.
We'll say we are scheduled here on Thursday the 2nd of March for this stuff.
Will both sides be prepared? Actually, I don't know what the court may not have sufficient time that day, so let me just look. No, I'm actually going to be in trial that day. I have a docket in the morning, but I'm in trial after. It may be that we need to, maybe we could just get some time frame. Let me look to the state first about how long do you need to be prepared? And I'll have...
We may need to at least go a little bit of time beyond that. I would say, sorry, I'm just looking at my calendar as well.
Better not to give me a date. Just tell me about how far out and about how much time you think you'll need.
I think, Your Honor, we're going to need roughly 4 weeks, so somewhere around the last week of March, first week of April.
Okay. So sometime after April 1st. I know I'm going into a lengthy trial in April, so we'll see what we can do. About how long a hearing do you feel that you'll need?
Based upon my best estimate, Your Honor, is probably at least half the day, so at least a solid 3 hours. Would be the safest time period to go. When we use less of it, we use less.
Okay, just knowing what the court's docket is, and then I know I have a 3-week trial also in April, it may not be possible to get it in that month, but we'll do it as quickly thereafter as we can, as long as that's sufficient for the defense.
Putting us into May, certainly plenty of time.
Okay. If there are other constraints, please let the court know. Otherwise, we'll schedule it as the docket permits in sometime after April 1st. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
We have jury trials to work around, but small.
Okay. All right. I'm not inclined. I know the parties are preparing sentencing memos. I'm not inclined for a PSI unless somebody feels that one would be needed. No. Okay. Very good. Sentencing memos. Any sentencing memos should be in. I would say, given the time frame, if you can sentencing memos in 10 days in advance, that would be helpful to the court. That will give time for the court to consider any information, ample time to consider any information the court needs to consider. Anything else we need to accomplish today?
I think, Your Honor, just from the state's perspective, when we do have the sentencing date, we're getting closer. The state will ask under RSA 651:4-A that the defendant, whether he likes it or not, will have to be transported here for the sentencing pursuant to that statutory authority.
Okay. If you're going to file something, did you say?
File that, Your Honor.
Okay.
There's very clear statute on it, there's case law on it. We will provide that to the court ahead of time and do that in plenty of time so that the defense can respond to that before we get anywhere near that 10-day mark ahead of the hearing.
Okay. Anything else the defense wants to raise?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay, there it is. Boy, courtroom is packed. Michael J. for watching along with us. No surprise, I guess. It would have been a shocker had they found him not guilty, but still, it took him a little longer than we thought. As we see the defense leave.
Sorry, Ted. Sorry I had a lag. Yeah, no, it's the end of an era, my friend. It's the end of an era. We've been covering this case for a long time. And the crescendo at the end was, surprising to me. The fact that the jury took that much time. I mean, I respect that. I wish all jurors, all jury pools, take time and weigh everything and go through everything. There have been many times in my experience, and just in covering cases on Court TV, where juries come back alarmingly quick, and you kind of feel offended, right? You kind of feel slighted. You say, hey, so many people put so much into this case. There's so much, so much there for you to look at, but you came back in 3 hours, right? But in this situation, we were shocked that they did not come back in 3 hours. So it's kind of a fitting end and a culmination to this whole entire process. And Adam Montgomery, God bless you, buddy. You caused all this. You've now been found guilty. Do your thing, I guess.
This is a moment for this community, Michael. I mean, we're seeing there the hugs, the camaraderie between law enforcement, the victim's family, the prosecution there walking out. A job well done to them in this. I mean, this is a case where the governor of New Hampshire called Adam Montgomery, before this conviction, a monstrous drug dealer who should have never had custody of Harmony. So there's been a lot of investigation following this case that goes far beyond just this trial, this murder case. What do you think this means for this community to see guilty verdicts today and for this chapter of it to now be closed? We know we still have sentencing ahead.
Julia, I'm so happy you brought that up. I want to say something about what you brought up, right? There are other ramifications to this case, right? I had a client one time who, great father, right, lost a child in a tragic accident. Child Protective Services were dealing with him for a month, right? They were investigating, are your other kids safe, right? Right. And he hired me. So my point is, every single time a child has any type of an ailment in the custody of a parent, state authorities aggressively investigate that parent if that parent still has custody of that kid or has any other kids, right? I'm not the pile on, but there was a long trail for an investigative authority to really look at this man as a father. It did not have to culminate in her dying. So to me, in my opinion, I'm glad you brought it up, because what's going to happen in the state of New Hampshire, you're going to see probably a law passed called the Montgomery Law, something of that nature, right? There's probably changes already afoot, and if they're not done, they're going to be done now, where the authorities in New Hampshire are going to be very aggressive going forward whenever there's any allegation that a child is abused, and they're going to be very quick to pull custody of those parents. That mother also has some responsibility, right? She could have raised the alarms even more aggressively for him to lose custody. She was living in the back of a car with him. That's sad. That's very sad. So as a commentator on the law, I can tell you, in my opinion, my legal judgment, right? I think the system there failed that young girl. She was supposed to be like, she was failed by people who did not intend her harm, but were neglectful. So you're going to see changes in New Hampshire, and for the better, right? There's, what do they call Amber Alerts now when a child is kidnapped, right? They were brought online because of, I forget her first name, her last name, but Amber, the young girl who was kidnapped, right? These were brought online, and kids have been saved now because of the Amber Alerts, right? We all get it on the cell phone, right? Whatever you're doing, you're interrupted, and then you get this blaring alarm telling you, hey, look out for a Toyota, green, a child, a female, blonde hair. So you're going to see something like that in New Hampshire with this because of this tragedy.
Yeah, Harmony Law or something. Yeah. And you're right. There's so many people that did a lot of soul searching during this entire episode. When it started with the search for Harmony, and then the realization that, when the uncle calls and says, "Hey, my, Adam hit her in the face," he called. He tried to do something.
It was anonymous. It was a tip to the Child Protective Services line, but he did try, and he did tell multiple people.
And they took his story, and then that little girl was dead some months later. But as you say, this chapter is now over, and the healing can hopefully begin for everybody involved. Let's get a break here. We're going to wait to see if the state is going to make any statement, or the defense. Let's face it, this was a spirited defense put up on behalf of Adam Montgomery. We'll see if there's any reaction from the players in New Hampshire, and then we'll shift gears back to New Mexico, pick up the defense opening statement in the Hannah Gutierrez case. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We have just learned that Adam Montgomery is guilty for all counts against him, including the murder of 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery. And right now, prosecutors are reacting to this verdict after 8 days of evidence. Prosecutor Benjamin Agati is in a press conference now. Let's listen.
Afternoon. Again, my name is Senior Assistant Attorney General Benjamin Agati. I'm currently the Chief of the Homicide Unit at the New Hampshire Department of Justice. It's my understanding folks might have a couple of questions. We've just had our verdict upstairs with regards to the state versus Adam Montgomery. He was found guilty on all the charges that were pending against him. That included second-degree assault for punching and causing a black eye on Harmony back in July of 2019, as well as for all of the offenses that he was charged with, that the jury found him guilty of beyond a reasonable doubt, for the second-degree murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery, as well as falsifying physical evidence, the abuse of her corpse, and witness tampering with regards to Kayla Montgomery. Those I know are certainly the charges. I'm happy to take questions at any time from any questions that people would have.
How are you feeling in this moment?
Very, very grateful for the jury. This is a very, very difficult case in terms of the number of witnesses that had to testify, that they had to listen to. This jury had to pay attention to 50 witnesses in a little over the course of roughly 8 days. That's a lot of testimony. There's a lot of different factors. You had multiple different charges. They had to consider the July crime separate from what occurred in December and on forward. That's a lot of work for a jury, and they have done that very, very well. And so we were greatly appreciative to the jury's time and attention. They had to listen to facts that the Manchester Police Department and that the community have lived with,
And I think a lot of people didn't really know all the facts until they actually heard and saw the witnesses at trial. And as a result of that, again, we're very, very grateful for the jury for their time and their attention on this. And it's a very big relief that they have seen through and that they've held him accountable for the actions that he's committed.
And as prosecutors and law enforcement, I know this isn't about you, but I can't help but notice that there are some tears in your eyes. This case was different. Talk about that and why.
I would say, I don't know if I would say it's different, only because I know other statements that I've heard in the past is to say, why was so much time and resources put towards this little girl? And sometimes even from others saying, well, where are the resources for these other cases? Every person who has their life taken from them on murder, whether it is a 5-year-old child or a 63-year-old man or a 45-year-old, every single person has a value of their lives. And so while some have said, why was so much attention here, that attention is something that the Manchester Police Department, that all of the different law enforcement agencies put into every homicide case in this state. And so this case was different in terms of some of the attention that it garnered, but not in terms of the value of Harmony's life or the value of anybody else's life being taken here in New Hampshire and having the same attention being brought to it and trying to hold those accountable in a court of law, hold them accountable and have some justice.
There was an extra dimension of community involvement because this started as a missing persons case. And it just feels like there is a more public vested interest in all homicides. I didn't mean to equivocate
That's okay.
this case.
That's
but,
okay.
There is a next level to this because of that community involvement from the moment of that New Year's Eve press conference where they said, help us find this little girl.
And that community involvement has been tremendous. Residents in Manchester, but not even just Manchester. So there were residents all around the country who had different tips. We heard some of that at trial with regards to tips that came in from Florida, from Arizona, and those tips were followed up on by partners that we've worked with, the Manchester Police Department has worked with for years, and they were so important to being able to find even sometimes very, very minute pieces. Again, at trial, we heard about one particular tip in Arizona that was tracked down, and somebody thought that is worthwhile to call in to try to find somebody who is missing. And that mattered. And you might think it doesn't matter, but it really does matter. And that's the type of work that was done here. And it's not just the Manchester Police Department, although they have been lions in pursuing this case. It's also the work of the partners that they've been able to team up with. That's New Hampshire State Police, New Hampshire Fish and Game, here in this state. As well, I almost gave a list, I got to remember, New Hampshire Department of Corrections and their investigative staff who've done also a fantastic job. It's counterparts in other states. As you heard during trial, Massachusetts State Police, Massachusetts State Police Dive Team, the Revere Police Department. You've heard in trial, we was also had assistance from the Maine State Police, also from Maine Fish and Game. Our federal partners, Billy Tufts and everybody over there at the U.S. Marshal Service, as well as the United States Attorney's Office here for the state of New Hampshire. You also had a tremendous amount of work by the FBI in the search of 644 Union Street and other work there. If you want to talk about outside coalitions, not only those other departments, but the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which does this work not only on this case, but every missing adult and child that they can help out every day. You're also talking about some outside agencies like New England Canine Search and Rescue, who volunteered their dogs to be able to help search on several different places. That is a community response. It's a national response, and it could not be more appreciated in a moment like right now.
We just heard from Harmony's mother, and you may have addressed this already, but she still hopes to find Harmony. Where does this mean the end of the search for Harmony? What?
Excellent question, and the answer is it does not. One of the things that we could not state before, but we can more clearly state now after the verdict, is during trial, people heard the last place that Adam Montgomery had driven that U-Haul to. And I have some specifics on that. I'm hoping people are paying attention. He had that U-Haul between March 3rd into March 4th in 2020. He drove 133 miles. We heard about that on that U-Haul. Subtracting back the 2.3 miles back and forth, 3.2 from the rental, that left him with roughly a 106-mile road trip all the way down, at least through the Tobin bridge tolls, we know, northbound, southbound, northbound again through those tolls, and then back to Manchester. That only left him with 26 miles of driving that he could have done between where he was at the Econo Lodge in Manchester and going through the Tobin those 3 times. What that means is, and we know that he went through no New Hampshire tolls. So what that means is that she is somewhere along that route. And you heard about the searches that have been done, specifically in the Rumney Marsh Reservation in Revere, around the Sales Creek area, the Chelsea Creek area, behind North Shore Road. Revere Police, Mass State Police have been relentless in searching those areas with the Manchester Police Department. These ladies and gentlemen drove down and worked with them hand in hand. Those are still our big areas of search and our big areas that we're hoping that somebody sees something. Everybody who might have seen the trial also would have seen the CMC bag. And there was a demonstrative that was used during trial. It was the exact same type bag. Had light tan, it was canvas, had dark colored straps, and had a CMC logo in the middle. That was positively identified by multiple witnesses as the bag that Adam Montgomery had the last night that he had that bag in the U-Haul. So that bag went somewhere along that route and somewhere within, no more than 26 miles off of that route down and back to Revere. Also at this trial, what was pointed out was the fact that Adam Montgomery was from the Revere area. He would know it very well. That is still a high area of interest, and we are still asking for anybody now who has heard this information, who's seen this information, if you see this bag, if you hear about this bag, if you walk in one of these areas and you take the dog out for a walk, if you see anything like that that seems to be disturbed, to please let us know. You heard also at trial that Harmony's body was bagged up several times inside of that CMC bag. There's a high likelihood that there may still be parts of her that we can recover, part of her body, pardon me just for a second, part of her body that we can recover. We're really hoping that we can do that. We really hope that she can get the burial that she deserves, that everybody deserves.
Do you think that he'll ever cooperate with you and your investigators and lead you to the body at any point? Do you have hope for that?
I don't know that I can speculate with regards to what Adam Montgomery thinks. The choices that he's made between when he did this, the choice to do what he did, and then the choices he's made since then. I can't speculate on what choice he may make in the future about whether or not to say where she is. But he knows where she is. So,
Ben, what's your
message
to anyone that thinks they can dispose of a body and get away with murder in New Hampshire?
With regards to that, if anybody who thinks that they can do that, certainly we have cases every day where individuals do things like that. They try to falsify physical evidence, and the work of law enforcement has been tireless to find out who they are, track them down, and hold them accountable. Go ahead.
Prosecution there reacting to this verdict in the case against Adam Montgomery. You heard our Matt Johnson there asking about this possibility of finding Harmony's body, and the prosecutor giving a call to action to the public that there's a certain location that they've heard about in this trial, and they want to know if they might find her body.
Yeah, they're not stopping their search for Harmony, even though the case is over. Let's get a break, and then we'll get you back for more of the prosecution reaction. We're also going to get you to New Mexico eventually here. We just want to wrap up this Montgomery case. It has been something, again, that we've been following for years. So it's a big day here at Court TV. Stay with us.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, our verdict watch continues in the case against Adam Montgomery. Our legal experts break down what might be having the biggest impact on the jury's deliberations. Plus, it was a movie set shooting that ended in tragedy. Now the film's armorer faces a jury. We'll bring you the biggest moments from opening statements as the Baldwin movie shooting trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court Network TV Live. Thank you for following along with us. What you're seeing right now is inside of the Baldwin movie shooting trial, the case against Hannah Gutierrez, the Rust movie set armorer. We're going to get you back to that trial at the top of the next hour, but we are also following that breaking news out of New Hampshire, the verdict in the Adam Montgomery case.
Guilty on all counts, says the jury that deliberated for 2 days, 6 hours plus. At the end of the day, though, found him guilty for murdering his daughter, Harmony. Let's go back now and pick up the press conference where we left off. Reaction to this guilty verdict.
She got you first.
Does he have to be here for sentencing, or could he skip that as well?
Under RSA 651:4-A, and I know that's a mouthful, but underneath that particular statute, it says that a defendant shall be brought forward for a statement from a victim in a crime involving a homicide and needs to be here for sentencing unless otherwise excused by the court. That's the statute. As you may have heard in the courtroom, we will be filing with the court and asking the court to enforce that RSA so that he is present for sentencing. Go ahead.
This was a tough case. The victim has never been found, so you prosecuted a murder without a body. And your star witness was somebody who had credibility issues, yet it only took this jury about 7 hours to come back with a guilty verdict on all counts. Do you have any thoughts on how that all came together? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
Well, I obviously don't know what the deliberations were back in the jury. That is sacrosanct with the jury. It's something that neither the court nor the parties will ever ask about. That's their decision-making of how they went forward. But one of the things you saw at trial was the tremendous amount of corroboration here. So it wasn't just one person and their say-so, even though that person's say-so could have been enough to simply find a guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There were so many other parts to this, so many other witnesses that did come forward that corroborated different parts of the story that had been told. So I think taking the whole into account is something that every jury does, and certainly I would imagine that that's what this jury did here as well.
What sense did you get from the jury? Do you think they got it? I mean, obviously they delivered a guilty verdict, but talking to them, was there a sense that this was going to end up this way?
I don't know that I had any more sense than anyone else in terms of usually when giving a closing argument, certainly that's something where I'm focused more on making sure that I'm telling and recounting what happened truthfully and accurately for the jury. You folks would be in a better position than I would to be able to read the jury and try to interpret how they were receiving it.
How about in terms of him not showing up before? How did that impact the trial, do you think?
Well, the jury was specifically instructed. They could not take that into account. They could not even discuss that during deliberation. So we imagine that the jury followed the judge's instructions and that was not taken into account. That is his choice. If he chooses to not be here for trial, then that's what he would like, and that's what he gets.
Are you looking forward to seeing him at sentencing? I mean, you've been working on this case for some time.
The only thing I can respond to that is at the last sentencing that occurred, which was last year, he stated that he did not kill his daughter and that he looked forward to the trial. We look very much forward to sentencing.
May I ask the police chief a question?
Yeah, Chief.
Sure, Chief Ellenberg.
In some of those early press conferences, you were very emotional talking about this. A little on your feelings today?
Yeah, I want to thank the team. I didn't do anything on this. Detective Max Rahill, Jack Dunleavy, Captain Layton, Captain Marshall, where are you? I know you're back there somewhere. And many others back in the room, Jesse O'Neill, Lyons, and these two gentlemen here. The state of New Hampshire is lucky to have people like Attorney Agati and Attorney Knowles going after justice for victims. Yeah, it's been an emotional ride. I'll leave it at that. What was it like for you to hear, you made sure you were here during the trial, and you were also here when the jury delivered that verdict, guilty. What was it like when you heard that verdict, guilty? Feel good for the team, honestly. Dedicated. It's hard. Still got to find her. It's kind of where been articulated that well. If anybody, please, I mean, this girl deserves better than the life that she had. And at least this team, I'm thankful to the media as well, who kept Harmony's story out there. Bob, I know you did, Amy, many others, and you did it respectfully. You did it with dignity, so we appreciate that. And I just, there's never a good day
with these things. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about a 5-year-old girl that was murdered by her father. And I can think of no worse crime. And I'm looking forward, and I know they are, to seeing him in sentencing.